Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, the Democrats asked for it. Yesterday, they got it. First, in the House of Representatives, 427-1, passed now the bill mandating the Justice Department, i.e. Pam Bondi, to release all of the Epstein files. 427-1. It then went to the Senate, in which by unanimous consent, not one person objected, the Senate on a voice vote passed the bill in the Senate to release all of the Epstein files. As I speak to you now, the bill is right on President Trump's desk, and he is expected later today to sign the bill. It will become law. The Epstein files now will be fully disclosed. We are now going to find out exactly what's in those files. Listen now. This was the House of Representatives yesterday passing what's called the Epstein Transparency Act. Roll cut 6, a mic.
On this vote, the yeas are 427, the nays are 1. 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Now, many of you are probably asking the Kuhner man, Jeff, who is the one person that voted no? Who is there's always one. No matter what, there's always one. It is Louisiana Republican Congressman Clay Higgins. Clay Higgins, Republican from Louisiana, voted a nay. Why? Because according to him, it does not give enough privacy protections to the victims, that some of these victims who may not want their names to be released, there's not enough protections built in for those people, according to him. And he fears that innocent names are going to be dragged through the mud who maybe just knew Epstein or flew on the plane, but never actually did anything to these abuse victims. And so he felt that there weren't enough protections put in there for either some of those abuse victims who want to remain anonymous or people who may actually be innocent. However, he was the only one. Other than that, every Republican voted to pass it. Every Democrat voted to pass it. As I said, it then went to the Senate. And this time it was up to Chuck U. Schumer. Chuck U. Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, called for unanimous consent to pass the Epstein Transparency Act. Roll cut 6A, Mike.
I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate receives H.R. 4405, the Epstein Files Transparency Act from the House, the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration. The bill be considered, read 3 times, and passed with no intervening action or debate, and the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House. I yield the floor.
So, I mean, what was that, 30 seconds? I think 39 seconds in all? I mean, I'm not kidding, literally 39 seconds. So it went from the House to the Senate. Now, let me just say this. Look, I'm all for the bill. I've been calling for this now for God knows how long. But again, I'm sorry. I don't want a voice vote. I don't. I want everybody to be on the record. I want an actual vote. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't like these voice votes. I don't. I believe every senator should be put on the record, yes or no. Now, okay, fine. Let that go. It's now going to go to President Trump's desk. He's telling everybody I'm signing it. He's going to sign it later today. Now, And the moment now that it's going to be signed, as I said when I started the monologue, let the games begin. Because now what the Democrats are starting to realize, even now, is that they have now opened the mother of all Pandora's boxes. Already now, Bill Clinton is going to be investigated. In fact, to show you how worried the Clintons are, this broke yesterday as they were passing the bill. Bill and Hillary Clinton are refusing to accept and honor a subpoena. They are defying a subpoena to go in front of the House Oversight Committee to be deposed in order to testify about their involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. So they're already now illegally defying a congressional subpoena because they don't want to be put under oath. Because I'll tell you why. Because Jeffrey Epstein visited the Clinton White House 17 times. He was a big Clinton donor and a big Clinton bundler. Bubba, Bill Clinton, visited Epstein Island on his Lolita Express, as it was famously known, over 20 times. Witnesses have said he was there with underage girls. Many of the underage girls are going to say that he sexually molested them. So they've got Bubba dead to rights. They've got Hillary, who hung out with Epstein, who took money from Epstein, who also enabled her husband to engage in his sexual predatory activity. And so already out of the gate, you've got two prominent Democrats who are now Bill Clinton and the Hildebeest, Hillary Clinton. And they're now in the crosshairs. And they're defying a subpoena? As I told my better half, my wonderful wife, Grace, last night, they put Steve Bannon in jail for defying a subpoena, for not appearing in front of Congress. They called that contempt of Congress. And they sent Bannon, forgive me, they sent his ass to jail. So I'm sorry. As Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna is saying, what's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. No. If the Clintons don't appear, and they said they're not going to appear, send the U.S. Marshals and force them to appear. And if they don't want to go with the U.S. Marshals, arrest them for contempt of Congress. Now, for the Clintons now to be willing to do this, it's obvious. Either they're going to have to plead the fifth, which means they're guilty, and they know they're guilty, or they're going to lie under oath, which is perjury. Or, which they're not going to do, is tell the truth. Because it's not just that Bill and Hillary are going to go down. They're going to have to testify who else they saw on Epstein Island. In fact, it was 2 islands. Okay, people don't know this. He actually owned 2 private islands in the Virgin Islands. But let that go. They're going to have to testify to all the powerful people, the wealthy, powerful people that they partied with, that they flew with, that they were there on Epstein Island doing God knows what to these poor underage girls. That's why they're defying the congressional subpoena. Now, listen to President Trump. He's now going on offense, saying, and again, I want to remind everybody, everybody's saying, well, he keeps calling it a hoax. It wasn't a hoax. What Epstein did was real. The pedophile ring was real. The sex trafficking ring was real. The abuse of the girls was real. Of course it was. The hoax is trying to tie Trump to Epstein, to make it seem like he had anything to do with the pedophilia, with the sexual exploitation of these underage girls, with being part of this sex trafficking ring. That's the hoax. Listen now to Trump talking to reporters. Clinton's going down, Hillary's going down, and now one of the biggest Democrat donors there is, Reid Hoffman. He's next. Roll cut to a mic.
You should go and look at the Democrats who received money from Epstein, who spent their time. Larry Summers was with him all the time. That creep, the fund guy, was with him all the time. What's his name? Who? Reid Hoffman. I don't know Reid Hoffman, but I know he spends a lot of money on the radical left. Reid Hoffman, in my opinion, should be under investigation. He's a sleazebag. And those are the people, but they don't get any press, they don't get any news, and you're not after the radical left because you're a radical left network.
He was talking to ABC, and by the way, he's completely right. That's the thing. They don't give a damn about Larry Summers, who, by the way, now is in big trouble. He's in big trouble. Okay? Larry Summers, top economist for Obama, top economist for Bill Clinton, former president of Harvard. He went to Epstein Island multiple times. He's in big trouble. So, Bill Clinton is going down. Hillary is going down. Larry Summers is going down. Reid Hoffman is going down. Prince Andrew is going down. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, the bill to mandate or force the Justice Department to release all of the Epstein files passed the House of Representatives yesterday, 427-1, and then unanimous consent in the Senate. It just blew right through the Senate. It is now on President Trump's desk. He will sign it later today, and the fallout has already begun. I want you to listen now. I've mentioned many names: Prince Andrew, Larry Summers, Bill and Hillary Clinton, Reid Hoffman. It goes on and on. Listen now. We've got Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, the leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives. Yep, he was at a fundraiser when he was trying to push for a Democratic majority. He was there. They called him the Barack Obama of Brooklyn. He wanted to meet with Obama. And who did they ask for a nice, juicy donation? You guessed it, Jeffrey Epstein. Now remember, this was in 2013. So Hakeem Jeffries and his campaign are soliciting money from a convicted pedophile. Epstein had pled guilty in 2008 to soliciting sex with an underage prostitute. So we're talking now about a convicted sexual predator and a convicted pedophile. Everybody knew this. He pled guilty. It was a high-profile case. Hakeem Jeffries wanted the money, and they were palling around with Jeffrey Epstein. Listen now to Congressman James Comer. He is the chair of the House Oversight Committee, saying, well, guess what? We found some emails. Hakeem Jeffries now was taking cash from Jeffrey Epstein, and he didn't care that he was doing business with a pedophile. Roll cut 7, Mike.
Another email shows Democrat fundraisers invited Epstein to an event or to meet privately with Hakeem Jeffries as part of their 2013 effort to win a majority. So Hakeem Jeffries' campaign solicited money from Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we found in the last document batch. The files underscore why former President Trump must appear for his deposition. We've subpoenaed him. To date, the Democrats have done nothing to help us secure his appearance. I support full transparency. The Oversight Committee will continue to work to get the truth to the American people and to get justice for the victims. That's our goal of this investigation. With that, I yield back.
Yeah, well, the files now are going to come out, all of them. God willing, they're all going to come out. And I'm telling you, this is going to blow up in the Democrats' face. This is going to bring down some of the biggest people in the Democratic Party. Bill Gates apparently is already lawyering up. He's one of the top globalists in the world, one of the wealthiest men. He is now very, very afraid. I've mentioned Reid Hoffman. He's a top Democrat billionaire donor, has put a lot of money into Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden. He now is lawyering up. So one after another, as I said, Bill and Hillary Clinton now are not going to show up for their deposition, defying a subpoena from Congress. So they're in trouble. They know they're in trouble. The bodies now are going to start to pile up. Now, I just want to say one very important caveat. In the fine print of the House bill that was passed yesterday, and because the Senate did not amend it, they just, unanimous consent. So basically it passed the House bill as is. Trump will sign it, obviously, later today. In the fine print, it says that the Department of Justice, i.e. Pam Bondi, can redact names or withhold information to the public on two grounds. One, if it protects, or you need to have it to protect the national security interests of the United States. So what does that mean, the national security interests of the United States? How does this, so what? We're going to protect certain people because what? It may embarrass the government. It may embarrass the CIA, which is really, I think, the real culprit in all of this, because I believe they were using Epstein as an agent to get, as the Russians say, kompromat on some of the most powerful people in the world. So is that going to be a loophole? We'll see. And they say they have the right to withhold information or to do redactions or redact names if that person is involved in an ongoing criminal investigation. Well, hold on now. Clinton's under a criminal investigation. Hoffman's under a criminal investigation. Larry Summers is under a criminal investigation. And it now appears that others very soon are going to be under a criminal investigation as well. So what I'm saying is, I hope that there aren't redactions in the files, with the exceptions being the victims, obviously. If the victims don't want their names out there, it should be redacted. But outside of the victims, I want no redactions. So if there are redactions of people other than the victims, then I'm telling you there's a cover-up. And I'm telling you then that Pam Bondi is not going to survive, I believe, the firestorm that's going to be unleashed. So if I was Pam Bondi, I would just release the whole thing, the truth, and nothing but the truth, and let the chips fall where they may. But I want to make all of you aware there are two clauses in there that give her the possibility, the way out, to make some redactions and protect some very powerful people. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I'm going to make a prediction right here, right now. You can hold me to it. I doubt that I'm wrong. In fact, I'm like 1,000% positive I'm right. But anyway, as I like to say, let that go. They're going to go through these, the media and the Democrats are going to go through these Epstein files once Trump signs the bill later today and they're released. They're going to go through all those files now with a fine-tooth comb. They're going to put their staffers, their investigators, they're going to put everything they have into this. They're going to go over every document, every email, every videotape. They're going to go through it all, not once, not twice, 3 times. And when they find, as they will, that Trump had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, that he severed all relations with him, as he said, in 2006, years before he was arrested, years before he was convicted, years before he pled guilty to being a convicted pedophile. And they find that he never went to Orgy Island, as it was called. He was never on the Lolita Express with other underage girls. When it turns out that he is innocent as the pure driven snow, then they're going to drop it like a hot potato. Because they're not interested in justice for the victims. They've never cared about justice for the victims. And they're going to have 2 problems. One, They don't want justice for the victims because if they pursue justice for the victims, who do you think it implicates? It doesn't implicate Trump. It implicates some of the most powerful, wealthy, well-connected Democrats. And they know that. So to prevent this from becoming a neutron bomb, which will blow up the establishment, and by the way, potentially blow up the deep state, because that's the real scandal. That's the scandal behind the scandal. Yes, the pedophile network, beyond disgusting. What Epstein did, a moral abomination. Please don't get me wrong. These are unspeakable crimes against young girls. But I'm telling you, the CIA was involved with this every step of the way. They knew going back years, and they allowed it to happen. Because Jeffrey Epstein was a CIA asset and a CIA mole, which is why they allowed him to continue. As long as he kept feeding them compromising information. So they're going to have to protect the CIA and the deep state, which is because they're basically a mouthpiece for the deep state. They are the communications arm of the deep state. They're going to have to protect the Democrats, the establishment, and the deep state with everything they have. So in a way, I feel extremely sorry for those victims yesterday who held that very moving, heartbreaking press conference showing pictures of themselves when they were young children, how they were at 13, 14 years old before Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, that pimp, got their claws into them and saying, this is who I used to be. And they destroyed my life as they held up the picture. Because the media is not interested in the truth and they're not interested in justice. And remember, under Joe Biden, and this is an incontrovertible fact, the Democrats had the presidency, they had the Department of Justice, they had the House, they had the Senate, they had it all for the first 2 years. They did nothing. For 4 years under Biden, they could have released the Epstein files. They didn't give a damn. They couldn't care less. So they've never cared about justice for the victims. The only reason why now they're all on the Epstein files bandwagon, they're on the Epstein train, is because they're hoping, praying, it's like a Hail Mary. Can we find something, anything, like a needle in a haystack? Can we find one email, one incriminating photo, one shred, one document, anything that can connect Trump to Epstein and what he did on that island? That's what it's all about for the Democrats. And when they find out that they can't, you watch, this thing will be gone. They will bury it so deep, people are going to forget Epstein ever existed. It's going to go right down that memory hole. Now, what is going to linger is the brutal civil war that the Epstein files unleashed. And I just want you to, and then I want to go to the calls. Listen now. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. As you know, to give her due, whether you agree with her or not, she was one of the people who spearheaded the release for the Epstein files from the very beginning. She was after Epstein. This was under the Democrats. This was years ago. She was for the victims, for the survivors. And when Trump won the presidency, she right away took up the cause again, saying, you've got to release the files. That's where she and Trump clashed. And he ended up over the weekend calling her a traitor, saying that she needs to be primaried, that all she does is complain, and sabotage fellow Republicans, especially the leadership in the Republican Party. Well, yesterday, Marjorie Taylor Greene was with the victims before the vote at a major press conference. Listen to her tear into President Trump. Roll cut 19, Mike.
I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me.
I mean, it's vicious now. It's vicious. There's no reconciling this now. I mean, now he's called her a traitor. Now she calls him a traitor. She's basically, what she's saying is he's an agent of Israel, to put it bluntly, and an agent of Ukraine, but especially an agent of Israel. And that he's using the presidency to enrich himself, but especially enrich his family. I mean, that's what she's saying. So this is now a fight to the finish. Trump is now urging, he's calling for someone to primary her. They're going to throw a lot of money to a primary challenger to defeat her in her district in Georgia. So this civil war, that's going to be one of the lasting things from the release of the Epstein files. Now, just very quickly, this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said yesterday, blaming Trump, that the way he handled the Epstein scandal, according to her, has torn MAGA apart. Roll cut 20, a mic.
I'll tell you right now, this has been one of the most destructive things to MAGA, is watching the man that we supported early on, 3 elections, for people that stood hours, slept in their cars to go to rallies, have fought for truth and transparency and to hold what we consider a corrupt government accountable. Watching this actually turn into a fight has ripped MAGA apart.
I disagree. I mean, it's been a bruising fight. There's no question. And, there are hurt feelings on a lot of people, on different sides of this issue. But I don't think MAGA has been torn apart. I think MAGA has been roiled. I'm not trying to play with words. I'm just being honest with you. Yes, it's caused debate. I think it has caused some division. I think it has caused some acrimony. But no, I think MAGA will survive this because we face a common enemy, which is the radical left and the Democrats. And I think Trump has delivered on so many other issues that I don't think his base is going to tear apart or break apart over this. It's bruised the base. I think it's damaged the base. I think there's a lot of bad feelings, and you can see through Marjorie Taylor Greene. But I don't think it's ripped MAGA apart. I think she's overstating the case. But that's me. I want to hear from you. So let me ask you, are you happy that Congress now has passed the Epstein Transparency Act? Are you happy now that they're going to release the files? Do you think they will release all of it? And Marjorie Taylor Greene, she says she no longer supports Trump, that Trump is a traitor.
I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me.
6:51 now on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare. That, of course, was MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, in a blistering press conference, just lashing President Trump, attacking him viciously. You can tell now there's a lot of bad blood between both of them. You can't walk this back. I mean, you just can't. So one of my fears is that this mini civil war within MAGA is going to be one of the lasting consequences of the fight over releasing the Epstein files. Anyway, they are going to be released. The House passed it almost unanimously, one vote against, 427 in favor. The Senate unanimously passed it yesterday on a voice vote. Trump will sign it later today, and we will finally, we will start to see what are in those files. Okay, are you happy with the vote? Do you think this will bring down the Democrats, as I believe it will? And will they redact some of the names? That is now the question. Let's start with Heather in Wareham. Thanks for holding, Heather, and welcome.
Hi, Jeffrey. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, Heather.
I'm actually originally Heather from Rockland, but I moved to Wareham. So anyway.
We know the voice. You have a very distinctive voice. So, so go ahead, Heather. The floor is yours.
So
what do you make of all this?
I think, well, I'm wondering, this is my question to you, was this kind of in Trump's plan, like one of his 3D chess plans? Like, no, I'm not going to release the Epstein files. I'm not going to release the Epstein files until everyone, like maybe he knew that this was going to be the backlash. And so, in other words, he wanted to release the Epstein files, but like they can't come back and say to him, well, you released and you caused the uproar that's going to ensue from this. In other words, everybody, like he can say, well, you guys wanted me to release this. I didn't release this on my own. I kept saying I'm not going to release this.
Well, that's a theory. No, Heather, it's look, I got to tell you, that is a theory. I think it's a very interesting. I think it's a very rational theory. I don't know if I 100% frankly buy it, but that's what a lot of people are saying. And look, just whether it was his plan or not, because those are intentions, those are motives, that's going into what he's thinking, and you really don't know what's in someone's head. Just stand back objectively. This is what he's done. Whether it was his intention or not, this is what he's done. He has now gotten, with the exception of Clay Higgins in Louisiana, okay? That's the one holdout that voted no. That's it. He has gotten every Republican, every Democrat in Congress, House and Senate, to now sign off on the release of the Epstein files. So when this thing detonates, Trump is going to have all the cover in the world. He's going to say, and not just he's going to say to the Democrats, he's going to say to the Republican establishment, he's even going to say to the media, hey, you guys wanted me to release the files. The American people aren't stupid. This went on for weeks and weeks and months and months and months. So you wanted the files released. You voted for the files to be released. All of you. Okay, with the exception of Clay Higgins. But besides him, all of you. Hey, don't look at me now. Now, as the bodies start piling up and the establishment, and that I think that's what's really going to break apart, is going to be the establishment. Hey, if we got to put Bill Clinton in jail and you guys don't like it, don't blame me. If I got to start putting all these prominent Democrats in jail, don't blame me. If this brings down the royal family in Great Britain, hey, don't blame me. I told all of you this is going to send shockwaves, but you wanted it, you got it. So what it now does, it really insulates him from the consequences. Because now, by forcing them to vote, and of course, whipping themselves up into a frenzy, you see, they didn't care about Epstein until he said, don't release the files. In fact, most of them didn't want the files released because they know what's in the files, or they suspect what's in the files. So frankly, many Democrats, as I said, under Joe Biden, they didn't even touch this with a 10-foot pole. They could have released it under Biden. Like this, snap of your fingers. They didn't. Why? Because they know some of the names that are in there. And I'm telling you, they're all not just Democrats. They're big, powerful, well-connected Democrats. It's the money. It's the Reid Hoffmans. It's the Bill Gates. I want to see if Soros is frankly in there. Okay, there's big donors in there. And they're not giving to the Republicans. They're giving to the Democrats. So they're like, hey, whoa, no, hey, keep this all hush-hush. Now they're saying, whoa, why is he opposing this? Oh, there's got to be something there. Let's get him. Okay, now they voted for it. Heather, he set him up, and now they fell for it. And that's why Trump is saying, release it all and start investigating. Now, if Pam Bondi has the stones, I'm telling you, Bill Clinton is going to jail. A former president of the United States, and by the way, with his record of raping women, sexually assaulting women, and now we're going to get him on pedophilia, because this guy was into underage girls as well. We've got a tape of him with an underage girl giving him a freaking massage as he's about to board the Lolita Express. Now, they're not nude or anything, but I mean, you're like, what is a man in his, 50s, 60s, I believe? What are you doing getting massaged by? If she's not underage, she's 18. I mean, she's right on the line. Right on the line. So, Larry Summers, here, I don't know if you saw this. I mean, in any other time, this would be a massive story. This is one of the top Democrat economists. He served Clinton. He served Obama. His face was in the media for years. He was the former president of Harvard. He's now basically admitted wrongdoing. And now he's come out, he's groveling, he's sorry, he's apologizing. He says he won't do conferences anymore, he won't do media interviews anymore. He wants to recede from the public limelight, as he put it. Well, now it's too late, because apparently now they're investigating him, and he's up to his eyeballs with Jeffrey Epstein. So what I'm saying is, this is now going to take down big Democrat fish after big Democrat fish. And Trump is going to say, don't look at me. You asked for it. So the practical consequences are, whether it was his intention or not, he's outmaneuvered him, and the Democrats fell into his trap. Heather, agree, disagree?
Oh, I totally agree. I absolutely agree. And yeah, see, this is the thing. These Democrats, these liberals, the stupid people on social media and thinking that he was part of this. Like, come on, these stupid people. If he had any involvement with Epstein, it would have been released. He wouldn't be president right now. Like it would have been they would have released it a long time ago. They would have leaked it. These people are so stupid. I can't even stand it. It's like I have no doubt in my mind that he's not even in there. It's just common sense. These people have no common sense.
No, Heather, I'll tell you what it is. No, you're right. You're right. But it's even worse than that. I'm telling you, this is what it is. It's stage 4 TDS. It's stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome. It really is. Like, they're crazy. When you hate, it's like a nasty, bitter divorce. When the two sides, it's irrational. And they just, whatever, the husband, whatever, the ex-husband hates the ex-wife hates the ex-husband. And you're like, you look at them, you're like, you realize the lawyers are the ones making all the money here. You guys are just destroying each other and yourselves. They don't care because they just hate each other that much. That's what's happening now to the Democrats. They hate Trump so much. It's stage 4 TDS. And they've really screwed themselves. I'm telling you, they've really screwed themselves. If Pam Bondi wants to wipe them out, she can wipe them out. Now, just very quick, because I want to go to the phone lines. You want to talk about stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome. Holy shamoli. So, they just released or voted to release the Epstein files. And then, you got to hear this. Because if I describe it to you, I'm telling you, you're not going to believe me. 6 congressional Democrats. 6. 2 senators, 4 members of Congress. Senator Elisa Slotkin of Michigan, Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, along with 4 representatives. This is Maggie Goodlander of New Hampshire, Chris DeLuzio of Pennsylvania, Chrissy Houlihan of Pennsylvania, and Jason Crow of Colorado. Now, why am I mentioning their names? This is huge. Again, stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome. Yesterday, released a video. I swear to you. Now, and remember, they all have military service backgrounds, these 6. So they're using that as kind of giving them extra authority. And they say, we who served in the military or in the intelligence community, we are now asking any one of you who serves in the military or in the intel community to defy Trump's orders. Literally, they're calling for an insurrection within the military. A soft coup, saying if Trump gives an unlawful order and you decide what's an unlawful order, don't follow the order. Do not obey your commander-in-chief. And we will support you no matter what you do. But this president is illegitimate, and you are not to follow his orders. It is a stunning, shocking video. I'm going to play it because you have to hear it to believe it. This is the video, the full video. Roll cut 24, Mike.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day
to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
Like us. You all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard
and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Let me bare my soul to you like I'm in the confessional, okay? This is beyond stomach turning. This is one of the most shocking, repulsive, sickening, and I'm choosing my words now very carefully, treasonous videos I have ever heard in my entire life. I'm telling you, they're calling for a soft coup. It's treason. This is an insurrection. Do you want to know what an insurrection is? This is the definition of an insurrection. Now, just right, I promise I'm going to go back to the Epstein files and to the calls. But this is what I mean by stage 4 TDS. They're going to get arrested. They're playing with fire. They're destroying the chain of command. They're literally sabotaging our own military. So, first question, what unlawful orders? Name it. Notice they don't name it in the video. If you're going to tell the troops, soldiers, to not obey the commander-in-chief, the orders of the commander-in-chief, you have to tell them what is unlawful. They don't say what the unlawful order is because there was never an unlawful order. So, what was the unlawful order? What? There isn't an unlawful order. Now, number one. Number two, Trump is pitting the military and the intelligence community against American citizens? How? Like literally, how? You mean when they called in the National Guard into Washington, D.C. to clean up crime? That the mayor of Washington said did a phenomenal job and has brought the murder rate, the drug trafficking, the crime rates plummeting down? You mean that's what you're talking about? Which, by the way, he has every right under the Constitution to do? Is this so? A legal constitutional act by the president is somehow unlawful? So how is he misusing the military and pitting them against American citizens? They're lying. No, he's pitting them against illegal aliens that you let in. But I'm sorry, an illegal is not an American citizen. Ding dong. Like, hello. But it's even worse than that. It's even worse than that. And honestly, this is not my point. This is Sandy's point. And she's not 100. She's 1,000% correct. Do you know what it is for someone in the military to defy an order? If you have crazy Democrats in the military listening to these clowns. Now remember, these are 2 senators and 4 members of Congress. And they're telling them, we'll have your back. You defy Trump. Hey, Congress will ride to your rescue. First of all, you're not going to ride to their rescue. You don't have that authority. So it's a false promise. But more than that, if you're in the military and you defy an order, it's not only an automatic discharge, which means your life is ruined. Your life is ruined. It's over for you. Okay? Yeah, Article 92. You could go to jail. In fact, you're most likely going to go to jail. Over what? To be used as a pawn in the so-called anti-Trump resistance? Yeah, it's considered treason. Literally, it's considered treason. You know what treason is under military law? So they are literally going to destroy the lives of service members who listen to these clowns and buffoons. Now, I'm telling you, listen to me now very carefully. The way Joe Biden and Merrick Garland and the Biden DOJ hunted down 65-year-old old ladies for being in the Capitol, I'm serious, for 2 minutes. One of them had to go use a restroom. And they chased them down, arrested them in the middle of the night with a SWAT team, and sent them to prison for 10 freaking years until Trump pardoned them. That's what they did to the J6ers under the guise of insurrection. This is a naked, explicit, public insurrection. This is a soft coup. They are telling the military to turn on Trump. They are telling the entire intelligence community to turn on Trump, to disobey and defy every single order that he issues. It's time to arrest all 6 of them. I'm telling you, it's time to arrest all 6 of these bastards. And that's what they are. They're bastards. Every single one of them. These are treasonous bastards. This is treason. This is a coup. This is an insurrection. And this is what Trump derangement syndrome has now led the Democrats to. Listen now to Lindsey Graham. You know what? I'm going to do it. Cut 25. Go, Mike. We can do it. Go.
You've got United States senators and members of the House suggesting to our men and women in the military that they should be disobeying unlawful orders issued by President Trump and his military. I was a military lawyer for 33 years. I was a prosecutor, defense attorney, and a military judge. And if you're listening to this program tonight, I find no evidence that President Trump or anyone in your chain of command has issued an unlawful order to you.
Of course. Of course. I'm going to play the cut on the other side. I'm going to take more of your calls. And by the way, who's going to decide now what's an unlawful order? What, Senator Slotkin? Senator Mark Kelly? Who, Goodlander up in New Hampshire? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask all of you. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Is the video published by those 6 Democrat congressional lawmakers telling members of the U.S. military to not follow Trump's supposed illegal orders, fomenting an insurrection? A, yes. B, no. Let me ask it one more time. That video that we played earlier, that disgusting, vile video, published by 6 congressional Democrats, 2 senators, 4 members of Congress, members of the House, telling U.S. military members, everyone in the U.S. military, especially the higher-ups, the generals and military leaders, to not follow what they say are Trump's quote-unquote illegal orders. Are they fomenting an insurrection? A, yes. B, no. You know where I stand. This is, to me, a hell yes all the way. They're fomenting an insurrection, but I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner. You can also vote via X, my handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhn as in National ER, Rob in Maine. Thanks for holding, Rob, and welcome.
Jeff. Listen, you know, this business, this business of you know, Epstein committing suicide. Yeah, and I'm the king of France, as you know. But I did want to say something else. You know, about Summers. We like to help even people on the other side. And now that President and Dr. Summers is asking to be anonymous, a little bit of anonymous, I have the perfect solution to help him out. Behind bars.
Rob, he's in trouble. He just resigned from his position on the board. It just broke like maybe half an hour ago at OpenAI. So, and basically he resigned because they pushed him out. So, no, he's in trouble. He's in big trouble. And I'm telling you, if I'm Bill Clinton, I'm very worried. And if I'm Hillary, I'm very worried. And now, if I'm Bill Gates and if I'm Reid Hoffman, these are some of the biggest Democrat donors in the world. I'm worried. If I'm Obama, I'm worried. There's a lot of Democrats now who I think are realizing, oops, what did we just do? Rob, do you think we're going to see actual people go to jail finally? Are these pedophiles finally going to be held to account? Or do you think this is just more smoke and mirrors?
I think Keith, as a lawyer, as he says, is probably partially correct. I think the same old nonsense is going to go on, and people are connected in Washington. A lot of people will get away, but I think it's gone too far. I think the people will insist that at least some of these knuckleheads spend time behind bars. And, Jeff, thanks for what you do, and I'll let the other callers call in.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Rob. Listen, all I'm doing is exposing the truth. I do it day after day after day after day, and that's why I'm liberalism's worst nightmare, and they know it. Bill in Sudbury. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Bill.
So I'm going to get to the Epstein thing. So your position is that everybody who's named in these papers is somehow slimed by it, except for Donald Trump?
No.
Everybody else?
No, I never said
him.
I never said
that's
that.
what you seem to be saying.
No, you do this all the time. I mean, that's what I mean. Again, look, Bill, really, I don't understand if you don't have the intelligence to comprehend what I'm saying or if you're just deliberately misrepresenting. But either way, you got problems. So, no, I'm interested in the names so we can investigate to find out if they were involved in abusing underage girls. Now, for the 500th time, and I asked you this the last time you called and you couldn't give me an answer. Donald Trump severed relations with Epstein in 2006. Donald Trump, from that point forward, had no contact with him whatsoever. That's a fact. Epstein pled guilty to soliciting sex from an underage prostitute in 2008. Democrats, all the way till 2019, partied with him, hung out with him, texted with him, took money from him, and an overwhelming number went to Orgy Island again and again and again. And the victims say many of them were people like Bill Clinton. Not one victim has accused Trump of any wrongdoing. So this is a Democrat scandal. Now, where am I wrong, Bill?
He is telling you the same thing. He's an ignorant innocent. Everybody around him is engaged in bad things, but he has no idea about any of it. It's the same lie he tells you over and over again.
You know,
and you
Bill,
believe
honestly, Bill, can you hang on? Do me a favor, please. Hang on. I want to continue this conversation because I think we need to have this conversation. So Bill says that Trump is guilty. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, and speaking of liberal bull, let's go right back to Bill in Sudbury. Bill, a moonbat. In fact, to be fair, I think he would consider himself a moonbat's moonbat. Bill says that Trump is guilty. He's guilty of something with Epstein. Quite hasn't told us what that is. So I have two questions for Bill. Number one, you keep saying Trump is lying. What exactly is he lying about? And number two, what evidence do you have? Concrete, specific evidence that Trump molested an underage girl, had sex with an underage girl, was part of Epstein's pedophile sex trafficking network, outside of just yelling, screaming, hollering. What actual evidence do you have? Go, Bill in Sudbury.
His evolving story stinks, Jeff. That's what everybody has. His explanations.
Okay, what evolving story, Bill?
They do not add up, okay? The minute he faces any scrutiny, he goes, "Oh, you just hate me. You're a moonbat. You're terrible."
Okay. What evolving story, Bill?
Well, okay. 5 weeks ago, back in July, he said there was no list, that he was going to close the investigation because there was no Epstein papers. Now he's saying, well, all these people are slimed by their presence in the papers. So was he protecting Bill Clinton back in July? Because that sounds, stupid.
Well, Bill, honestly, there are emails, there are documents, there are videotapes. We'll see if there's an actual client list or not. But what does this prove? It proves nothing. Again, I just asked you, this is what I mean. Like, do you listen to yourself? I'm really being honest. You live in an alternative reality. It's like a movie, a fantasy land that you people live in. I just asked you to say, what did he lie? You keep saying Trump lied about Epstein. What did he lie? You can't name me one lie. Okay, so now I've asked you, give me specific evidence that he was involved in sex trafficking or sexually exploiting underage girls. Go. Where's your evidence? Go.
Do you think he was telling the truth when he said if you cared about the Epstein files, you were a weakling and controlled by the Democrats?
That's not the issue. That's not the issue.
That is the issue.
No, of course it's not. You're not answering my question because you know there's no evidence. Look, I said this to you the last time, and you had no rebuttal then, and you have no rebuttal now. Virginia Giuffre explicitly said he never touched her. Alan Dershowitz, who is Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, said that Epstein told him repeatedly Trump did nothing wrong. So what I'm saying is Ghislaine Maxwell said Trump never did anything wrong. In fact, there is not one underage girl that has accused Trump of anything inappropriate. Not one. So you're trying to tie him to something that there's no evidence. Now, what I find incredible is there's a mountain of evidence against Bill Clinton. Yet you don't want him to go to jail, right? You don't want Reid Hoffman to go to jail, right? You don't want Bill Gates to go to jail, right? You don't want Stacey Plaskett to be censured, right? You don't want Hakeem Jeffries to be forced out of office because he was taking money from Epstein 5 years after he was convicted of being a pedophile, a sexual predator. So when all the Democrats have been caught red-handed with this guy, some of them literally diddling kids, you say nothing. But with Trump, he said this, he said that, he said this. So let me ask you point blank. Did Donald Trump exploit or have sex with underage girls? Yes or no? Is that what you're accusing him of?
His evolving explanation.
Forget the evolving explanation. Forget that. Did he have sex with underage girls? Yes or no?
Forget that. Let's deal with that.
No. That's what Epstein did.
Right. No. You don't want to deal with
Listen,
that.
buddy, I get to ask the questions. It's my show. It's not your show. So I'm asking you, this is exactly the crimes that Jeffrey Epstein committed. He slept with underage girls and he trafficked them. So my question to you is, and that's what we want to know about these powerful, wealthy people. Did they have sex with underage girls or were they involved in trafficking them? That's the issue. Not who said what when. So, did he have sex with underage girls or did he traffic underage girls? Yes or no?
Out that he had Thanksgiving dinner with Jeffrey Epstein on Thanksgiving of 2017 while president. Would it make any difference to you? Because that's what's being alleged now.
Who's alleging this? That he? Whoa. Boy, Bill, I got to tell you, my friend, you shouldn't have said that because you just hung yourself. You have no credibility with this audience to begin with. You who went on about the Russia collusion hoax. You who literally said, keep the oil in the ground. Don't take oil out of the ground for 400 years. Because you don't even know that oil literally replenishes itself. It's a renewable resource. So, you've said some really stupid, outlandish things over the years. But this one now, my friend, you better walk it back. You're telling me that now you're alleging that Donald Trump had Thanksgiving dinner in the White House with Jeffrey Epstein? Where's your evidence?
I don't think it was in the White House. I think it was at Mar-a-Lago.
Okay, it was at Mar-a-Lago. Let's go to Mar-a-Lago then, Bill. You're telling me that he had Thanksgiving dinner with Jeffrey Epstein in Mar-a-Lago. What's your evidence, Bill?
It's being announced on the media.
What media?
It might be incorrect, but
no. Oh, now it might be incorrect. Right. No, what media? No, tell me. What media said this?
People are telling me, Jeff.
Whose people? Okay, fine. Whose people? Which people, Bill?
Right. So
No, Bill. You just said, Bill, come on. Be an honest man. You said people are telling you. Which people told you?
Who are reporting on the recent emails that were
which reporter, what
Epstein.
media outlet? Which reporter, what media outlet said this?
Several different ones.
Well, give me one. Just give me one.
It's all over X. Go search it on X.
No, there's nothing on X.
Oh, I disagree.
Well, you could disagree all you want. Yeah, somebody tried to smear him that over a week ago. Yeah, Congressman Sean Casten of Illinois smeared him with that over a week ago, and he had to immediately retract it because it was false. So you just slandered him. See, Bill, you're a liar. You're a liar, and you've just been exposed as a liar. 617-26. See, that's now. Notice the foaming at the mouth. Notice how rabid he is. Notice the grasping at the straws. Notice that the media. Well, what media? The X, somebody on X, something, somewhere. That's what's going to bring them down. And they don't realize that the files now that are coming out, it's almost 100% to 0 against the Democrats. Look, the only wild card in this is Pam Bondi. That's the only thing. If Pam Bondi has even a scintilla of guts or courage, powerful Democrats are going to fall, and they're going to fall hard. Is it Janine? Yeah, Janine in Arlington. Thanks for holding, Janine, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. I'm going to try and, I wrote this all down, so I'm going to try
Janine,
and get through it.
look, really, Janine, no matter what you say, you're going to look like an absolute genius now.
Oh, thank you.
Well, that's because Bill, that's what Bill does for you. So, Janine, please have fun, because you're not Janine. You're Albert Einstein from Arlington. So go ahead, Janine.
So, well, we'll shut Bill down because Trump had, back in, I think it was 2007, Epstein was thrown out of Mar-a-Lago because of his bad behavior, but Trump and Epstein also had bad blood over some property dealings that Trump ended up getting the property that Epstein wanted. So this started a whole brawl between the two of them for an extended period of time, obviously, and Epstein did not get over it. So going forward, the problem, I think, with some of the Me Too movement, as some of the callers was talking about, is that we have a mix of real victims, and then we have a mix of legal-aged escorts mixed in this.
Janine, can you do me a big favor? You are making such an important point. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Janine, the genius in Arlington. She's on after Bill. She's an automatic genius. Bill in Sudbury. I got to tell you, it's like, Mike, whenever he comes on, we should do like the sound from the theme song from the theme song from the Twilight Zone. And instead just call it the Bill from Sudbury Zone. Anyway, let's go right back to Janine, the genius. Okay, Janine, you were making a really interesting point. Yes, some of the victims were clearly underage girls, victimized, effectively kidnapped, and then exploited by Epstein and his powerful friends. But you said there were also legal escorts that were involved as well, and that were missing that nuance point. Please, Janine, pick up where you left off.
So I think we need to realize that some of we have a mix of victims, and we have a mix of age women. Some of them are escorts. Some of them are actually tied into the Emperor's Club, Gentleman's Club. And if any of you remember that was actually tied into the Elliot Spitzer scandal back in, I think it was 2008. And so some of those women are tied into that as well, that Epstein had at that island. So some of those victims standing up there aren't necessarily victims, but they were, workers working at the island mixed with some of those victims in there. So I think that we need to pay attention that not everything is what it seems. And then going back to 2008, 2009, Brad
Janine,
Edwards,
hold on. I promise I'll let you finish. But I just want to, if you don't mind, just for my own education here and information. I've heard about this, that there were escorts, that Epstein liked to use escorts as honeypots for his powerful friends and clients. Were these escorts underage, or 18 and above? I'm just curious.
Actually, in upwards of between 20 and 25, and he was paying them quite a bit, obviously quite a bit of money. Some were getting houses. So these women were going there under their own power.
And you're saying they were 20 to 25 years old.
Years old and over.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So, but they're standing up as victims behind Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I think that she's, I don't know I don't know why MTG, I think that, I don't know if this is going to serve her well, if this starts to really blow up, but I don't know. I think this is just, it's not a good, I know what she's trying to do.
I hear what you're saying. Some of these victims are not victims. They were sex workers, prostitutes, escort girls, whatever you want to call them, who were above age, say the age of consent, and who got paid and did it for the money. And now they're trying to present themselves as victims because Epstein, the Epstein estate is we're talking, what is it, $1 billion? From what I read yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, Janine, I read this in several papers. Apparently the Epstein estate has already paid out $750 million to a lot of these victims. And so people are saying that's a lot of cash. That's a lot of money. And some of these, yes, there were clearly 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old girls who were being victimized. There's no question. But other girls, other women were not victims. And they want to get in on the cash cow. And, $750 million is a ton of money. Janine, just to go back to something you said earlier, you said something about 2008. What you're saying, that's when he pled guilty to soliciting sex with a minor, a prostitute. And then I want to ask you a question. So you're saying what, 2008 to you, that's the watershed? In other words, people who were involved with Epstein after then clearly knew the kind of monster they were dealing with, correct?
Correct. So Epstein's Florida case was in 2008. And then Brad Edwards, who was a lawyer, he had stepped in for 70 victims in 2009. So then Brad Edwards had deposed a bunch of Democrats or, political people and people that were kind of part of that case. And one of them was actually Trump. Trump actually directly called Edwards and had a conversation with him and said, hey, let's talk about it. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And he did. He answered those questions. He was honest. He was helpful to Brad Edwards, who was helping those victims back then. And because of the information that Trump gave him, Brad Edwards, the attorney at the time, didn't end up deposing Trump because he was so forthcoming with all of the information that actually helped those victims. So, this is, I feel like the opening of these Epstein files is great, but I think that the Democrats are just hoping for another witch hunt. Now, this information I got was through Substack articles from Jessica Reed Krause and Jay Beecher. I can't take the credit for,
Well, Substack is very good. I mean, I read a lot of writers on Substack. I think now it is the true new media. And most of them are actually liberals or center-left people. Politically, I think most of them and I probably wouldn't agree. But they're old-school journalists who are so sick of the corruption in the media, the fake news establishment, corporate media, that they go, we just want to do honest journalism. And let the, cookie crumbles, let's just let the cookie crumble however it crumbles. And they hate the agenda-driven media, the propaganda media. And that's why so much on Substack is very good. And that's why I read a lot of people on Substack. Janine, look, I think there's 2 points that I think are very clear. Number one, Epstein himself, and this is why the Democrats now realize they just made a big mistake. Epstein himself, in the emails that have come out, admits he has no information on Trump, no dirt on Trump, that he's got nothing on Trump. And you're right. Trump has repeatedly cooperated and given all the information he possibly could about Epstein. So Epstein himself says that Trump was never involved with underage girls or with a pedophile sex trafficking ring. And I think now the bigger scandal, and this is already here, it's breaking now as I speak to you. Chuck Schumer, now this is going everywhere. In 2019, just several months before Epstein was charged with sex trafficking, took thousands of dollars from Jeffrey Epstein. He was one of his biggest donors. 11 years, as you pointed out, after Epstein pled guilty to having sex with a minor. So he was a convicted pedophile. And yet Chuck Schumer was more than happy to take all that money from Epstein. Now, it's also coming out, and I've talked about this in the past as well, and I promise, Janine, I'm going to give you the last word. Now it's come out, George Stephanopoulos, ABC News, Katie Couric, then CBS News. After he comes back from serving his stint in jail, Epstein. Now remember, he pleads guilty, and he does his little stint in Florida. So they know he's a convicted sex offender who's got a thing for underage girls. He admitted to it. He pled guilty to it. They sat down and had dinner with him. In fact, it was a big lavish party. Top people from the New York Times were there. Top people from the Washington Post were there. Top people from This is CNN were there. ABC News, Steffi, others were there. Katie Couric, as I said, was there. So the media knew the whole time who Jeffrey Epstein was. They didn't care because he was part of their elite, their club. And they all deliberately turned a blind eye. And you're right. Now they're just praying, hoping that they'll find something, anything in these files to get Trump. That's what this is all about. It's not about the victims. It's not about the truth. It's not about justice. And I think they're going to rue the day. They're going to reap the whirlwind because this is not a Republican scandal. This is a Democrat scandal. And it's getting more obvious by the day. Janine, quick last word to you. What say you?
Well, I think that everybody should always just be skeptical because we have to remember we've got the mix of we have the mix of victims. We've got Giuffre, who's now dead. She can't speak for herself, but she was also accused of trying to get money out of Alan Dershowitz, saying that he had put his hands on her when he didn't. You know, that we had a $121 million victim fund that, you know, kind of started this whole thing. They're trying to make Trump the new Epstein, and he's going to come out of this glowing, but it's going to be a fight. And, you know, the Democrats this does not look good for them, and MTG is going to go down with them at this point. If she stands in front of that too long, she's going to get run down. That's how I feel about it.
Interesting. Janine, have you ever called a show before?
It's second call.
Second call. Janine, Janine the genius. Janine,
My dad's
please.
gonna be very excited.
Don't be a stranger. Call again, Janine. Excellent call. Really good call. Okay, joining me now, as she always does at this time, Dr. Grace putting liberals in their place. Grace Voto, full disclosure. Yes, you better believe it. I married up. She's my wonderful wife. Grace, I know you feel so passionate about the Epstein files. In a way, this is almost like a personal vindication for you. You've been on a personal jihad to get justice for these victims. The House passed it yesterday, 427-1. The Senate, by unanimous consent, the bill is now going to Trump's desk. He will sign it later today, forcing Pam Bondi and the DOJ to release the Epstein files. What's your reaction?
Jeff, honestly, when I heard the news that the Senate then passed it by unanimous consent, I was in the car driving Ashton around to one of his sports events. I was in tears. I was overjoyed. I am delighted for those girls. I think this is a very simple case. We have to stand with the victims, and I want to see our president stand with the victims. And one of the things that we have all noticed, and we've been shocked, is why has it been so hard for President Trump to do what all of us feel instinctively he should do? He should be the champion of these girls, and instead he hasn't been. And the question we have all pondered is why? And because we've asked that question, the left is going crazy thinking, oh, it must mean it's because he diddled girls too. And that's false. We know that that's false because the girls have said he didn't do that. But something is still wrong, and I want to shed light on what that possibly is. Think about what Donald Trump's life was while he was friends with Epstein. He was married to Marla Maples in those years that he was friends with Epstein until 1997. He divorced her in 1999, officially, but they were separated in 1997. So in those years that he was partying with Epstein, he was a married man for a portion of it. And he was obviously misbehaving as a married man. Then in 1998, he met Melania in 1998, and he courted her until he married her in 2005. So during the height of his courtship with Melania, until the moment that he married her in 2005, what I think he doesn't want to come out is that he was unfaithful. I think that this is what he's hiding. He is now a person who has remade his public image as a family man and as somebody who later on in life found Christianity. And what I think he doesn't want to come out, he doesn't want American school children and teenagers and the history books to just record over and over again how unfaithful he was. And I also think he wants to spare Melania the pain and humiliation that during those years that he was courting her, that she might have the most beautiful memories of the courtship, of the engagement, of the days leading up to their marriage, that he was a playboy even then. That his whole relationship with Melania has been a big lie.
Well, Grace, now, I don't mean to cut you off, but I've got to, I mean, of course I'm being tongue-in-cheek here, but have you been talking to Bill in Sudbury? I mean, this is pure speculation. I mean, what I'm saying is, like, I think this, I think that, I think, he fears what, first of all, there's no evidence that he cheated on Marla Maples. There's no evidence that he cheated on Melania. I mean, yeah, there are rumors, but there's no evidence. So that's number one. Number two, so I think honestly, you're maligning the man. I'll be honest with you. You're maligning him. And I don't think it's fair. That's number one. Number two, there's no evidence whatsoever that there's, a videotape of him or pictures of him or, having sex with other women, above age. I mean, above the age of consent. There's no evidence of any of this. So this is all literally pure speculation. What we do know for a fact is that he never touched an underage girl and he wasn't involved in sex trafficking. Those are the two most damning things against Epstein and against the people that he surrounded himself with these powerful, wealthy people. Now, if Trump cheated or didn't cheat, look, Melania's a big girl. She knows who Trump is. That's between her and Trump. I don't think, to be honest, after everything Trump has been through, Stormy Daniels, the vicious press attacks against him as a philanderer, that suddenly now in 2025, Donald Trump is worried that, Melania may think I cheated on her while we were married. I mean, that train has left the station a long time ago. So I, with all due respect, I think you're barking up the wrong tree. What say you?
Listen to me, Jeff, listen to it just 1 second. There is evidence. During the Stormy Daniels trial, and one thing I always disagreed with you on, I thought he didn't do anything illegal, but I thought he definitely slept with Stormy Daniels. There was a key moment when Hope Hicks came on the stand. Hope Hicks loves Donald Trump. And crying on the stand, she said that he told her, listen, I don't want Melania to see the press reports about this, okay? I don't want her to see this because men think it's cool if I slept with a prostitute, but women won't think it's cool. So we do have evidence about some behavior that is very shady with women. So this is not just pure speculation, Jeff. This is a long history of his previous... Just listen. You spoke. I'm speaking now.
All right.
Listen. How did his first marriage break up? Because he cheated on the first wife with Marla Maples. This is a fact. So he's been a cheater, okay? He's been a cheater, and I contend he's been a cheater his whole life, but he's tried to remake his public image as much more of a family man who found Christianity, but wink, wink with the boys, he kind of says a different story. And that's who this guy is, and we know that. Now, this is what doesn't make sense to everybody.
Yeah, but Grace, I gotta say, he's not running again. Like, in terms of, you're saying upholding his image. And the other thing is, I think he's just trying to protect his wife from these nasty press reports. I think it's not an admission of guilt. It's, I don't want my wife to read this. This is humiliating to my wife because people are going to think it's true, or some people are going to think it's true. But look, we've got about 2 minutes left in the interview. I just got to ask you, we started off with Jeffrey Epstein. We started off with a pedophile, a globalist sex trafficking network. And now we're down to Marla Maples and Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump, maybe or maybe not, cheating on Melania. Like, how did we get here? I mean, the point is he's going to sign the bill, so it's all going to come out. So we're going to know very soon what's in those files. And my question to you is, do you think there's any evidence there that Donald Trump did anything illegal or was involved with Epstein, whether it be in trafficking young girls or in engaging in inappropriate behavior with underage girls?
I do not think he did anything illegal, but I think he conducted himself in an immoral and ungentlemanly manner, and I think that's why he doesn't seem to be a champion of these girls. And that's why he's been stalling. That's why he's involved in a cover-up. That's why we've had to get him to sign this kicking and screaming. That's why he's accusing Marjorie Taylor Greene of being a quote-unquote traitor. I think it's because he doesn't want to be embarrassed by his past behavior, but it's not illegal, just immoral and sleazy as a man who was telling women that he was in an amorous relationship with a different story. He doesn't want all that to come out. It's embarrassing for his children, for his wife, for his grandchildren. I think that's what he's hiding.
Look, let me ask you this. We got about a minute left. Once these files are released, and there's nothing in there about Trump sleeping with other women, cheating on his wife, having amorous relationships, as you put it, will you publicly apologize to Trump? Basically, I almost need a yes or no answer.
Oh, I want him to apologize to me for calling me stupid for asking for the Epstein files to be released, and apologize to Marjorie Taylor Greene for calling her a traitor for defending these girls.
Well, she's calling him a traitor. I mean, you know what I mean? Now she's calling him a traitor too now. So, and she's called a lot of people traitors. So, her hands are not clean either. Now, look, he shouldn't have said people are dumb and stupid, for wanting the Epstein files to be released. That was a mistake. But, I wouldn't take it so personally, Grace, honestly. Look, I wanted the Epstein files released. He's basically said I'm stupid too.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
Wow. That was a video released yesterday, right on the heels of the Epstein files vote. So you see that it's Trump derangement syndrome. They're just not going to stop. They're not going to stop. Now they're calling for an open insurrection within the military. 720 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, I played a little bit of Lindsey Graham. I'm not a big fan of Lindsey, you know that, but even a stopped clock is right twice a day. And on this, he is right. Listen now to Lindsey Graham saying what they just did with that video is absolutely unconscionable. they have crossed the line. Roll cut 25A, Mike.
To the people who made these accusations, I'm going to write you a letter tomorrow, and I want you to tell the country what orders you think are unlawful. What did President Trump do wrong as commander-in-chief? You owe that to the men and women of the military to be specific about what you're talking about. If you're in the military, you need to follow the lawful orders of your commanders. And Article 92, check it out. So what these senators and House members did was unnerving, and it was unconscionable to suggest that the President of the United States is issuing unlawful orders without giving an example. The hatred of Trump cannot spill over to putting our men and women in the military in jeopardy. You're going too far.
Amen. Amen. Kenny in Georgia. Thanks for holding, Kenny, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Kenny.
Hello. How are you?
Go ahead, Kenny.
Good. On the Epstein files, don't care unless all the federal judges are on there, because that's our biggest threat right now. 2, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she was kind of told behind the scenes that she wouldn't win Senate in Georgia. Hence, that's why I think she went on CNN and The View to kind of clean up her persona here in the state. But that's when I think Trump came out and said, I can't back you. You're not going to win the state. We can't let Ossoff win it again. So we got to find somebody kind of like a Barry Loudermilk or somebody that way. That who would win down here. The reason for that is because a lot of people like myself, I'm originally from the Boston area, moved down here 20 years ago. I have moved down here since COVID. So a lot of people from Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, et cetera, have brought kind of their Northeastern Republican politics down. So they're not as conservative as Marjorie. So she's not really well liked in the rest of the state except for her area in Georgia, Rome. That's why I got on that.
Kenny, if you don't mind me asking, do you think that there will be a primary challenge against her? Or is she just too popular? I understand she's not popular around Georgia in much of the state, but as you said, in her district, she's still popular. Is she popular enough to withstand a primary challenge from somebody who's backed by President Trump? Can she survive that? Or do you think that she could be knocked out in a primary challenge if Trump puts everything he has behind that candidate?
I think she has no problem. I think she'll win again. I mean, she's pretty much grew up in that area. She had a business in that area. It's small town, Georgia, Rome area. So she's got a reputation. People know her. I don't think there'll be a problem.
Kenny,
she did make them.
Sorry, go ahead, Kenny.
I think she did make the mistake by going on The View and try to backpedal and try to change her persona, how people think of her, so she could try to win statewide. I think that was a mistake.
Kenny, what do you make of her now openly, publicly, viciously attacking Trump? Now, to be fair, he also attacked her, and he called her a traitor, which is also pretty vicious. So, I'm not saying his hands are clean, but still, she gave as good as she got. Let's just put it this way. What do you make now of the fact that she's openly feuding and warring with the president? Ultimately, is it good for Republicans? And is this going to endear her to her voters in her district in Georgia?
I think that was a mistake. She probably, this is how I think what Trump is doing out foreign. He's actually getting money to come in here. Since he does not have a strong Congress to pass his domestic laws, most of it wouldn't go through. So it would be putting up a lot of L's on the board for him. But he's getting a lot of W's by doing the trade deals with Saudi Arabia, Japan, South Korea. So he can go to the press with these W's and show to the public. That's what I think she's missing the point on that. Unless they get somebody stronger than her and from that area, I think she's going to be fine.
Interesting. Kenny, great call. Good insight. Thank you for that call, Kenny. 617-266-6868. Anthony in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Anthony, and welcome.
Thank you for having me as always, Jeff. Sorry, I was trying to get you off speakerphone.
Anthony, hold on. Where you sound again like a robot. Let's see if we can clean up that connection, and we'll come right back to you. So hang on, okay, Anthony? Susie in Carlisle. Thanks for holding, Susie, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure, Susie.
Couple of points. First of all, where were all these hysterical rebel rousers during the cadaver auto penning charge when he was mumbling, bumbling, and shuffling around? They had no problem with how he violated our Constitution. I think that is absolutely disgusting with what they're doing now. President Trump, I definitely support him. I admire him. I am ever so grateful to him. I will always be loyal to him. He has done so much for our country. It's unbelievable what he has done for our country. And he cannot get enough of accolades or praise for it. He just can't. There's no possible way. Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I'm going to be 100% upfront. I bought a house in Georgia 6 months ago to get out of Massacomie.
Susie, can you please do me a favor? We're up against the break. Okay, we're going to go right back to Susie in Carlisle, but before we do, it's Wednesday. You know what that means. Truth or troll. Take it away, Mike.
And now, America's favorite game show, where you get to decide on the Kuhner Report. This is Truth or Troll.
Today's entry for Truth or Troll comes from President Trump speaking to reporters at Joint Base Andrews when he is asked about controversial far-right activist Nick Fuentes and what his impact could be on the conservative movement.
Your telephone dinner with Nick Fuentes at Mar-a-Lago a few years ago. What role should he play in the conservative movement?
Well, I didn't know he was coming, and he was with, as you know, somebody, Kanye. And Kanye asked if he could have dinner, and he brought Nick. I didn't know Nick at the time. And he did. He came, and along with a few other people. He brought a few people with him. Meeting people, talking to people, like for somebody like Tucker, that's what they do. You know, people are controversial. Some are, some aren't. I'm not controversial, so I like it that way.
So Trump says he's not controversial. So wait, what do you think here? Is he trolling there, or is he telling the truth and he actually thinks he's not a controversial
No,
person?
he's definitely trolling. Of course, he knows he's controversial. He knows he's a lightning rod. He knows the country's polarized over him. He's just getting under the media's skin. I gotta say, I find the guy hilarious. I can watch him do press conferences all day, every day. He just cracks me up. And, he's got a bit of a dry, self-deprecating style of humor as well. And I think it sometimes gets him in trouble because the joke kind of goes over people's head. But he is funny. Oh, man, he can be really funny. So, no, I think he's definitely trolling, but that's me. I want to ask the audience. Trump says he's not controversial. Do you think, A, he's telling the truth? He's serious? He really thinks he's a non-controversial guy? Or B, you think he is trolling? He's just, just needling the media. I think he's trolling, but that's me. You can vote on our webpage, WRKO.com/Kuhner, WRKO.com/Kuhner. You can also vote on X, my handle, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, KUHNER. Okay, Susie, you were saying that Trump has done incredible things for our country. His first, 10 months in office has been one success after another. You're going to be very loyal and grateful to him for the rest of your life for everything he's done for us. And you pivoted to Marjorie Taylor Greene. You moved or bought a home in Georgia to get away from the commie crazies, the moonbats here in Massachusetts. And then we had to go to break. So please pick up where you left off.
Okay, so President Trump is so multi-talented. He's hysterical. I mean, he's a showman. He's an entertainer. That soundbite you just did it's great for a chuckle. So back to business. Yes, I do. I've watched Marjorie Taylor Greene her entire political career, which hasn't been very long, but anyway, I do like her. I will support her, and I absolutely will vote for her. I've already met quite a few people down in Georgia. I've grown a huge circle down there already. Actually, will be supporting her. Now, as far as Epstein, and I cannot express this, I mean, this is a pedophile is a pedophile, and I don't care who you are or who you think you are. If you're a pedophile, you're filth, and you have to go to jail. You know what? There is no rehabilitation for a pedophile. So I don't care, and I don't want these pedophiles running our country. I don't want them in charge of anything for our country. They have to go to jail. They have to be held accountable, and I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's a former president. I don't care if it's any congressman. I don't care if it's a donor. I don't care if it's a multi-billionaire. They are a filthy, disgusting parasite pedophile. They deserve to go to jail, and they deserve everything awful and heinous coming their way. Whatever heinous, awful actions come their way is not enough. It's not enough.
Oh, I'm so with you. Susie, look, I got to tell you, to me, I think pedophilia maybe is the worst thing you could possibly do. I mean, I guess, mass murder or whatever, obviously, but it's one of the most heinous, evil things imaginable. And I got to say, when I looked at the tape of those victims yesterday in front of Capitol Hill at that press conference where they all showed their pictures of when they were 12, 13, 14 years old, how innocent they looked, how young they looked, how vulnerable they looked. And all of them, to a woman, said, "This destroyed us. We have never been the same again." Some women have committed suicide. You know, others say they can't have a functioning relationship. Others say they can't get married. They can't get romantic with anybody. Others say they suffer lifelong trauma. Constant PTSD, constant stress, constant anxiety, massive depression. They go, "We've never recovered. Our families in many ways have never recovered." You don't do that. You don't take the innocence away from a child like that. What they did was unspeakable, absolutely unspeakable. And that's why I want to read something, and I want to share it with everybody. I got a text. He's a friend of mine, a vet, a military man. And, he wrote this to me. And by the way, thank you for that call, Susie. Very good call. "Jeff, don't get too excited about files being released, the Epstein files. It's just going to be a bunch of black lines, heavily redacted. There's just too many elites involved. And 3-letter agencies involved as well. We might see a sacrificial patsy tossed out, but that's it." And this is my response. And really, this person, Paul, he's a wonderful man. And I said, "Paul, look, you may be right, honestly. In fact, I hope you're wrong, but you really may be right." But I go, let me tell you this, and I mean this now from the bottom of my heart, and I know Trump's people are listening. If Bondi does those redactions, if it's black line after black line after black line, as they usually do at the DOJ or the FBI, then I'm telling you, MAGA will destroy her. And I'm telling you, I'm going to lead the charge. On my children, I'm going to lead the charge. Because they were the age. I mean, Ashton was a boy and most of the victims were girls, but my Ava is 13 years old. That's literally the age where so many of these victims were dragged to that island and then sexually violated in the most heinous way possible. And I just look at my daughter and I'm like, you are sick. You are satanic. You are demonic. You are evil. You're evil. You do that to a young teen like that, seriously, there is something wrong with you, man. And so we're not going to take it. MAGA is not going to take it. And to President Trump, you vowed to drain the swamp. Well, drain the swamp. This is it. This is draining the swamp. Take out all of these donors. Take out all of these wealthy, powerful people who are connected to the Democrats. And if they're connected to the Republicans, I don't care. But detonate that bomb and blow this swamp sky high. Agree, disagree. Anthony, I think we've reconnected with you in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Anthony, and welcome.
Can you hear me, Jeff?
No, Anthony. You sound like, we can hear you, but you sound like R2-D2. Let's see if we can fix that connection, Anthony. Larry in Arkansas. Thanks for holding, Larry, and welcome.
Jeff, I swear, I was just telling Sandy that I was so tired from unpacking the house. I sat there for 45 minutes thinking it was Tuesday.
You still haven't unpacked, Larry? Larry, didn't you move from Massachusetts like weeks ago? Okay, Larry, please hang on. We're up against the break. I'm gonna come right back. Go to Larry, and finally we're gonna go to Anthony. Hopefully we'll fix that connection. So the Epstein files have been released. 617-266-6868. Let's go right back to Larry in Arkansas. Used to be Larry in Leominster, but that's okay. Larry moved to Arkansas. It's been about, I think, a month, actually. Larry has just finished unpacking. Larry, what do you make of the vote to release the Epstein files? And as an Air Force vet, this disgusting video by 6 congressional Democrats, 2 senators, 4 members of the House, calling upon members of the military to defy orders from Trump. Larry, did they just engage in an insurrection? What say you, my friend?
Jeff, like a mosquito at a nudist colony, don't know where to start. But let me give this a shot. Okay, so first, do you honestly, in your gut, think those senators and congresspeople were targeting someone like me when I was in? If I disobeyed a law, a lawful order in the military at my rank, I'd be thrown in corrective custody. That's what they called it in the Air Force, given an Article 15 and thrown out, and no one would blink. They're asking all the generals and commanders that Obama put in place and the auto pen put in place to rise up and tell their squadrons, their commands, not to follow these orders. That's how devious it is. They're not going after the average rank and file. They're telling the so-called military leaders to basically overthrow Trump. You're right. That is an attempted soft coup. So let's get that out of the way. They're going after the big boys to get them to do their dirty work for them. Quick comment on MGT. I get her position, honorable. However, she let it slip during the shutdown. I forget what format she was on, who she was interviewing with, or she was at some conference. She let it slip that she was upset with the tariffs because it was affecting her family business. So that made me go, I said, I was trying to be in your corner, but when you start saying, you're for America, when you find out you're doing your own business and worried about that, that's not what we would put you in Congress for. I sent you a message earlier. Do you recall back in Trump's first term, that whole Me Too movement?
Yes.
The Democrats tried glomming onto that and used everything they could to tie the Me Too movement to Trump's alleged dalliances. And all it did was blow up in their face. All it did was expose all the Democrats who were vile. And here we go again. This is Me Too 2.0. They're trying to tie it around his neck, and all they're doing is exposing their fellow Democrats. The one that really got my attention, I'm not sure I'm saying her name right, sir. She's from the Virgin Islands. Is it Plaskett?
Yeah, Stacey Plaskett, yes.
I listened to her excuses, and she was trying to say, well, I didn't know what Jeffrey was. I was like, this is 2019. He already did a year in jail, and he's on the verge of getting arrested again. You know he was being investigated. And for the audience who might not know, there's a congressional hearing where they're grilling that sleazebag Cohen, trying to get him to flip on Trump. And she's live texting with Jeffrey Epstein during that whole hearing.
That's right. Larry, Larry, I promise I'll let you finish. That was February 27, 2019. So he's a convicted sex offender. He's a convicted pedophile. Everybody knows about him. It's been, 11 years. Stories are now breaking that they're going to arrest him for sex trafficking, which he will be in a couple of months. And, the Virgin Islands, she represents the Virgin Islands. And of course, two of the islands, the private islands that he was having all these underage girls being molested and violated, that's her district, right? That's where she's from. And he's texting her, as you put it, live, as they're grilling Cohen. And he's giving her information, hoping to go after Trump. Oh, well, ask about Trump's executive assistant, Rona Graff. And she's like, what? Rona? What's Rona? That's the assistant. Ask about Rona Graff. And you can tell live, she's literally asking the questions of Cohen as Epstein is feeding her the information. So, Larry, this is what I find unbelievable, is when when they released those emails from the estate last week, the 3 emails where Trump is mentioned in relation to Epstein. Whenever the Democrats talk about Epstein, when it's, an email regarding Trump, suddenly he's the most evil pedophile in the history of the world. Puh, puh, puh. But when he's literally live texting one of their members of Congress, and never mind donating a ton of cash, suddenly he's a constituent, Larry. No, he's a constituent. She's just taking a text from a constituent. He's a constituent. He has the right to exercise his civil rights, Larry. No, she can talk to him. He can talk to her. She can text him back. He can text her back. It's just a constituent, Larry. So you can't make this up. And so, Larry, my question to you is this. This is, by the way, the Republicans, to show you what a bunch of losers they are, Larry, they failed to censure Stacey Plaskett yesterday. I mean, you want to talk about a no-brainer, a slam dunk. She's literally being fed information by a convicted pedophile as they're grilling Michael Cohen. And the Republicans can't even muster the courage and the votes to censure her, which is, as you know, it's not even a slap on the wrist. It's less than a slap on the wrist. It's like wagging the finger and saying, don't do that again. Nothing happens to you when you get censured. It just goes on your record. That's all. You were censured. That's it. And that's too much for these loser rhinos in the House. And you wonder why, Larry, we keep losing. I mean, I swear you can't make this up. So, Larry, let me ask you. She's getting fed live texting from Jeffrey Epstein after he's a convicted pedophile on the verge of being arrested again for sex trafficking. Nothing happens to this woman. Larry, what say you?
Jeff, you're a popular political talk show host. How come you don't have a direct text line to one of our esteemed, air quote, Congress people and give them advice live on the air? I think that's wholly unfair. You're a constituent. Jeff, what? No,
Larry, that was Sandy's point at our pre-show meeting. She said, like Stacey Plaskett, like this is her defense. I'll play a few cuts after I'm done with you, Larry, but after we get off the phone with you. But she's like, he's a constituent. He has the right to text me. I'm like, who? You mean what? Everybody's just texting you on your phone? I don't know about you. My member of Congress, I don't have the text number. I don't have his private cell phone number. They don't text me. I don't text them. I'm sure most people in the Virgin Islands, they have no idea what Stacey Plaskett's cell phone, or they can't text her. So this idea, it's just a constituent. No. Very few constituents know your cell. They don't know your number, and they certainly don't text you. So it's unbelievable. And you're right. This is going to blow up in their face because this is now the problem they have. They were all up to their eyeballs with this monster, and they knew. They knew, and they all turned a blind eye. I don't know if you saw the clip of John McCain's wife. She did a recent interview, and she said, look, I'm telling you, through my husband, everybody knew who the hell Jeffrey Epstein was. Everybody knew what he was doing. Everybody knew he was a convicted pedophile. And they all kept taking money from him. They all did fundraisers with him. They all protected him. They all enabled him. They all kept legitimizing. They were laundering his reputation. And Barack Obama did fundraisers with him. Joe Biden did fundraisers with him. Now it's come out Hakeem Jeffries knew and did fundraisers with that pedophile, with Jeffrey Epstein. So you're dead on, Larry. They knew and they didn't care. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please keep going, Larry.
Quite all right. You see how they keep popping from quick, and it's not working. What I mean by that is, so they try for a hot minute to fake some testimony in script, blank out the one person we know who is a main victim, and just write victim, trying to pathetically tie it to Trump.
Larry? What just happened to Larry?
Jeff?
Larry, what happened?
Jeff, I don't know. I thought I hit mute and I didn't.
Okay, no. See,
right.
Larry, I'm telling you, they're trying to censor the show. I've been getting complaints yesterday and today. When I started to mention the names, this was early on in my monologue, suddenly, the names are getting censored. Suddenly, people can't, well, what? Jeff, you were mentioning names. And now you're talking and they want to cut you off. Please keep going, Larry.
So I don't know where I got cut off, but I was saying that they tried faking Virginia Dufresne's testimony.
That's right.
And they blanked it out and said victim. That worked for like a hot minute. Then that was exposed. I wouldn't call it an ad, but there were clips they were pushing, trying to get people to think this way. They kept saying, oh my God, these emails, Epstein is saying how vile and evil Trump is. Can you imagine a pedophile calling you evil and vile? They leave out the part he was paranoid that it was Trump that was going to bring him down. If I were President Trump, or if someone like that called me evil and vile and was a known pedophile, I'd wear that like a badge of honor.
Bingo. You're dead on. Larry, as always, great call. Thank you for that call, Larry. Look, if an evil pedophile says, I hate Jeff Kuhner, I can't stand the guy, I want to bring him down, I'm like, yeah, that's a badge of honor. Now, and notice, they're trying to tie Trump to Epstein. As they're reading emails, again, stage 4 TDS, as they're reading emails on the air, boy, Epstein really hated him. I mean, Epstein couldn't stand him. Epstein wanted to destroy him. So how can you argue with the same out of the other side of your mouth that Epstein and Trump palled around together and were diddling kids together? No, you don't see the blatant contradiction there? No. By the way, under which administration was Epstein arrested the second time for sex trafficking? It was under Trump. It was under Trump. When he committed suicide because he felt he had no way out and he was looking for a deal and Trump wouldn't give him a deal. Who was president? Trump. So what I'm saying is, if Trump was really in bed with Epstein, you think he would have had Epstein arrested? You think he would have said no deal? You think, his lawyer was begging Epstein saying, do you have anything on Trump? And I mean anything, because now is the time to use it. And Epstein kept saying over and over again, I'm telling you, Alan, it was Dershowitz, Alan Dershowitz, I've got nothing. There's nothing for me to give. That's why Trump keeps calling this a hoax. Not that what Epstein did was a hoax or that there was no pedophile ring. The hoax is that somehow he participated in Epstein's disgusting, evil activities. Let's see if the third time is the charm. Anthony in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Anthony, and welcome.
Can you hear me, Jeff?
Yes, hallelujah, you broke through. All right, go ahead, Anthony.
Let me adjust my tinfoil hat here. As a loyal, faithful caller for the existence of your show, I've finally made it. The deep state has given me the robot voice. and I'm thankful for your staff that actually cares enough about the callers' opinions that they rectify and try and work through the problem, because many other shows would have went click on me. And I have two valid points that need to be heard. One about the Epstein files and Trump, and one about Marjorie Taylor Greene. The one about Trump is I knew Trump had nothing to do with any of these victims after E. Jean Carroll's ludicrous lawsuit where she won $5 million from 35 years ago saying that Trump assaulted her. If I was a sex victim on that island and I had heard what E. Jean Carroll got from a liberal lunatic jury, you bet your sweet donkeys that I would have been lined up to sue Trump so I could get a share of the pie. Not one single victim did that, and from that day forward, I knew that Trump had nothing to do with any of those victims. As far as Marjorie Taylor Greene goes, how does it feel, Marjorie? Because many people seem to forget. Back in 2021, when the Gang of 19 was trying to pass an infrastructure bill, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I quote, called them traitors, and the senators that were also involved, the unlucky 13, helped what she described as a communist takeover by the Democrats, and she even posted all those congressmen and senators' phone numbers on social media, allowing them to receive death threats. So how does it feel, Marjorie? Because it was good enough for you to call people traitors and all types of other various names when you didn't want something passed. But all of a sudden now it's wrong for the president to do the same to you? I'm sorry, lady, but you opened that book.
Anthony, I'm just curious. Do you think we're ever going to get to the bottom of what Epstein really did, who he was really working for, and the powerful people that he enabled to commit these unspeakable crimes? In other words, will we know who was really part of his client list and his pedophile network? Or do you think with Pam Bondi that eventually this is just going to be swept under the rug? Yeah, Larry Summers may fall. Yeah, they may even get a Reid Hoffman, a big donor. But so they'll get a couple of, scapegoats. But that fundamentally most people will get off. Do you believe that's what's going to happen, or do you think we will finally see justice? What's your sense?
My sense is that this story has been already exposed for many, many, many years. We don't have to blame Pam Bondi for anything. We all know that Bill Clinton went to the island 17 times. Nothing happened to him. We all know what Larry Summers was doing. Nothing happened to him. I mean, you don't need to tell me that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was diddling little girls. We already know all of this. This is just a baseball bat to beat up on Trump with. And once the baseball bat's broken, the story's going to go away just as fast as those. You run in a segment piece for an ad for your show where it's talking about the Democrat that turned for Trump, that I forget her name, from Hawaii. She released all the files on Obama and all those deep state agents that were spying and doing all that wrong.
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard.
What happened to that, dude? That just poof. Yeah, we were all happy it came out, but ain't nothing happened from it. So you're going to have the same thing with the Epstein files. If you can't get people on treason, do you think that they're really going to get people on being pedophiles?
That's a very interesting point. That's a very interesting point. Anthony, thank you so much for that call. 617-266-6868. Okay. Best audience in the business. Honestly, best audience in the business. I know I say it all the time, but it's true. Listen now to this. Okay. This is what, one of you sent the Kuhner man, 70470. And it's true. I forgot about this. The audience will often remind me of stuff. I'm like, oh, that's true. That happened a couple of years ago. So remember this. I'm sure it's going to refresh almost everybody's memory. By the way, this is from 617. Jeff, in 2019, do you remember ABC News? In fact, the ABC News anchor was Amy Robach. And she and ABC News admitted to deliberately burying a key interview with Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre. And they buried it for 3 years. And this would have completely exposed and reshaped the entire Epstein conversation. The interview exposed damning evidence against Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, and other powerful figures. And knowing this, ABC sat on the story for 3 years. They even called it, in their words, Jeff, quote unquote, a stupid story, and buried it to protect their access to the royal family in Britain and to the Democratic establishment. If ABC had aired it, the victims would have justice and the American people would have had answers. Media accountability, Jeff, is no longer optional. Trump is right. ABC should have lost their broadcasting license years ago. That is so true. Remember, this was a big scandal a couple of years ago. It turned out, and remember, the Democrats poo-pooed it. The media, they weren't interested in Epstein. They were covering up for Epstein, where you had this anchor, ABC Robach, Amy Robach, said, her name at the time was Virginia Roberts. It's Virginia Giuffre, the poor woman who died a couple months ago, and really the most prominent of the accusers. And they had a sit-down interview, 2019, where Giuffre blew the whistle on everything. By the way, saying that Trump never touched her, never did anything inappropriate, and she never saw Trump do anything inappropriate. But let that go. She exposed Bill Clinton. She exposed Prince Andrew. She exposed Reid Hoffman. She exposed Bill Gates. She exposed key Democrat Larry Summers, key Democrat after key Democrat after key Democrat. And what did ABC News do? They literally buried the story. And then they said it was a stupid story, a non-story. Who cares about Epstein? 617-266-6868 is the number. And she's still going on. I swear to you. She's texting me while we were off air, my wonderful wife. Jeff, he cheated, i.e. Trump. He cheated on Ivana with Marla Maples. That's a fact. And he admits he's a playboy. I mean, But, honey, I never cheated on you. I mean, even Sandy off air was saying, what is, Grace has this thing about men cheating. I'm like, I never cheated on her. I don't get this. She says, well, did her father cheat? No, her father didn't cheat. He was straight as an arrow. I swear to you, this is at my dad's funeral. Okay, last year, I swear to you, one of my dad's dearest friends shows up at the funeral. My sister and I are just very happy that he showed up. Now, he was known for cheating on his wife. There was kind of an open secret. Look, I don't care. My dad is dead. He's in a casket. I'm happy this friend of his showed up to pay his respects. I'm emotional. My sister Jennifer's emotional. He's emotional. No, there's Grace in the car afterwards. Oh, he cheated on his wife. Look how things turned out for him. I'm like, could you let it go? I mean, you and men cheating. 617. I mean, that's why people say, Jeff, would you ever cheat on Grace? Oh, no, never. She'll kill me. I swear to God, I'm a dead man. I'm dead. Never mind that I don't want to cheat. But even if I did, that's it. I'm signing my death warrant. So that's why I'm like, oh, no, I'm never cheating on my wife. Because I know the second I cheat, that's it. It's over. It's over. Put me 6 feet in the ground. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. Vince in Long Island. Thanks for holding, Vince, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing? How's the blood pressure doing?
I don't know if I'm sleeping on the couch tonight, Vince.
Maybe in the car. Anyhow, to take it away from all the battle here, I don't get all this appeal and fascination with children. I don't know how people are so perverted that children are so appealing. And throughout history, children have been abused, going back to the Roman times. Today, I mean, the Taliban marry 9-year-olds. And I don't know if you remember that guy. We have a sick society, basically. There's a lot of sick people in humanity. Remember Roman Polanski, who had an affair with a teenager and underage woman? And
she was 13. She was 13.
Yeah, and he ran away to France, and he never came back. Remember Woody Allen, who had an affair with his stepdaughter?
Who was underage at the time. That was, under 18.
Yeah, there's a lot of sick people. I don't know what the appeal is with minors. But there was another story, the flip side of that. You ever remember in the 80s there was a porn star called Tracy Lords?
Vince, I swear to you, no, I've never heard of a porn star named. What, Tracy Lords?
Tracy Lords.
Okay.
She started doing porn, I think in France or whatever. She was American at 14.
At 14?
At 14, and apparently the industry turned the other cheek on it. She presented them fake ID that she was 18, but she did porn at 14, 15, and it turns out when she got to 18 years old, she turned the industry on its head and basically came out and said she was a minor, and the courts ordered all her movies to be removed from the shelves and everything. So she basically created a big demand for herself through this tactic that she had. So she wasn't that stupid. She tried to go into mainstream movies. She made a few. She never made it big or anything. But just to say that they're not all so pure and innocent. I mean, not all 14 and 15-year-olds are alike. And like the prior caller was saying, they have older girls in the whole apparatus there to recruit the newer ones. So it's a whole evil enterprise. The whole thing is. It's a sleazy, evil enterprise. And weren't these libs sexualizing 5 and 6-year-old children with their transgender drag shows and all that stuff?
Yes.
Now they're the big defenders of 18 and 19 and 20-year-old women. I mean, the hypocrisy is unbelievable. And what about the 350,000 children that were all of a sudden lost? How many of them are sold into white slavery? I was watching a report yesterday. They arrested this guy an uncle who raped his 12-year-old niece along with his friend. Border Patrol just arrested him. These are all children that went completely under the radar, and these libs couldn't care less about them. These are not children? Obviously, I mean, I don't think Trump is involved with any minors or anything like that. Of course, I think he was in the scene, like he's in every scene, and he knows about everything. But I think he was trying to keep it low and under lock and key, this thing, because I think he was trying to prosecute people orderly and one by one.
Vince, can you do me a favor? Please hang on. I want to come back to you because I think you put your finger on it. People are saying, well, why did Trump not want to release the files? Why? Well, I think there's two reasons. I mean, it's two obvious reasons. Vince is touching on one. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, super quick. I'm going to go right back to Vince in Long Island. He's going to lay out what he says is a key reason why he believes Trump did not want to release the files, the Epstein files initially. But this is now breaking. Now, remember, I touched on it earlier. And what did I say? This is going to be the biggest backfire in history. And it's already happening in terms of the blowback and how this is blowing up in the Democrats' face. So I mentioned Hakeem Jeffries, House Minority Leader. He's the Democrats' leader in the House of Representatives. How he has now been involved asking Epstein for a major donation while he was presenting himself as the Brooklyn's Barack Obama. It's now apparently even worse. Here it is, bombshell. In 2013, Hakeem Jeffries didn't just want Epstein to give a ton of money to his campaign and to introduce himself to Epstein as Brooklyn's Barack Obama, but he in fact invited him, in fact begged him to have dinner. He wanted to break bread with the guy. Now remember, this is 5 years after Epstein is convicted of being a sex predator and a pedophile. So he didn't just want Epstein's money. He wanted him to be one of his top donors and bundlers, and he wanted to sit down, have dinner, and talk with the guy. And the bill hasn't even been signed by Trump yet. He's going to sign it later today. Oh, I told you this. Oh, we're just getting warmed up. 617-266-6868. Okay, Vince, I think I know where you're going with this. You were saying, Jeff, there's an obvious reason why Trump did not want the Epstein files to be released. Please, Vince, pick up where you left off.
Yes, I think he was going to use it as a weapon and a tool, the same way you go after the mafia. You take some of the lower level rats and you turn them against each other. And it's a dirty game, as he's noticed in politics. After what he's experienced the last 8 years, I think he's learned how to play the game a little bit different. In releasing it all like this, it's like diarrhea. All the rats are going to run everywhere, and you don't know. It's harder to organize criminal links between one and the other versus doing it behind the scenes orderly while he's doing everything that he needs to do, his basic agenda that he needs to conduct and do what he needs to do for the country. I think these things should have been done behind the scenes because it all leads to the main guy, which is Obama. All this is linked. The criminality, I think there's blackmail involved in there. I think Justice Roberts is involved in these things. A lot of people are being controlled through those files, but the Democrats are so arrogant that they think they can create a Russia file gate part 2. They think they can just filter out what they don't want coming out, and they can just pin everything on Trump. And if they fabricated an entire Russia file out of nothing, imagine what they could do with a little bit in the Epstein files. If they'll take one sentence and make a whole federal case out of it. Maybe if he spoke to a girl, that's considered rape. So, it's now it's like disorderly. We don't know where this is going to go because a lot of rats are going to flee, and it's going to make legislation maybe a little more difficult too. We got the Marjorie Taylor Greens to contend with. It's more chaotic. It's not orderly. You should always do things in an orderly way. As they say in the mafia, your killer comes with a smile.
That's a very interesting point, Vince. Honestly, I think it's a very good point. Look, now this is going to be an all-consuming story, and that's the other thing Trump is worried about. He goes, this is going to knock all of my accomplishments off the front page. Nobody's going to be talking about everything I've done for the country, everything we are doing for the country. It's now going to be scandal, 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 scandal. And you're right. He loses the initiative. He loses the control over the issue because now it's just everything is out. But also, in a way, it derails him, at least for a while. Because now everybody wants to know, honestly, including myself, who's in the files. So Trump is like, hey, they're not focusing on us. And if they're not focusing on us, that's not where we want to be. Vince, great call as always. No, I think the other reason, Sandy and I were talking about this off air. To me, it screams one of the reasons. He's protecting his donors. I mean, and I'm not saying this in a dismissive way. These are some key donors that without them, he would not have been able to win the 2024 election. Because Kamala Harris and the Democrats, say what you want about them, had over $1 billion in their war chest. I mean, they could flood every market, ad after ad, radio ads, TV ads. They could saturate the airwaves, get the vote out. Trump said, look, we needed money to compete. Yes, I have a great message. Yes, I'm a great candidate. Yes, we have a great agenda. Yes, the lawfare turned a lot of the country off. Yes, it was a referendum on Biden's disastrous presidency. But in the end, in politics, you need money to win. It's just a fact. And these donors came through big time for him. And I think part of it is he wants to protect his donors. And then he came to the conclusion it's not worth it anymore. In other words, you got to cut your losses. This story's getting too big. It's damaging my credibility. It's damaging the Republican Party. Look, guys, I wanted to protect you. Forget it. I can't. I'm sorry. No, it's too much now. Let's get it out there and move on. So to me, I think it's such an obvious reason. So, we don't have to get into Melania. Did he sleep with this model or that model? And, what's he hiding, and a consensual affair, and the effects it could have on his marriage and the reputation of his wife. And I don't see it. To me, there are obvious reasons why he wanted to contain this. Now, and it just shows to you he's not guilty, because he's like, okay, let it all out. Okay. Oh, well, okay. You want it. You got it. Now, very quick. I want to play one more cut. Then I'm going to go to the phone lines, I promise. I'd be remiss if I didn't play this cut. So, President Trump, as you know, yesterday was with the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, MBS. And he was talking to reporters. And in a way, this was making Trump's point. He's got a big deal with the Saudis where he's going to sell them F-35 fighter jets. It's a major military deal. He just got the Saudis to secure a $1 trillion investment. Okay, that's going to be a lot of plants, a lot of factories, and a lot of jobs. But that's not what came out from yesterday's press conference in the Oval Office. No. What do you think it was? The Epstein files. What did you know, Mr. President? Why didn't you release it earlier? Well, Mary Bruce from ABC, and remember Stephanopoulos, and what I said earlier about ABC News burying the interview with Virginia Giuffre in 2019. So since when does ABC News ever care about the Epstein files and the victims? Well, Mary Bruce from ABC, who is a rabid anti-Trumper. I mean, she hates him. I mean, my God, does she hate him? Well, she starts to aggressively go after Trump on the Epstein files. Listen to him. Fight back and give it to her with both barrels. Roll cut 3, Mike.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
It's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych it. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right.
What he meant to say was sick, not psych, sick. ABC sicks you on me. And that's what they do. They sick him. By the way, the question she asked of Mohammed bin Salman was the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. Though he was a Washington Post pundit. By the way, not an American citizen. He was a Turkish citizen who also happened to work for Turkish intelligence. And he was allegedly killed at a Saudi consulate under the orders, apparently, of Mohammed bin Salman. At least that's what U.S. intelligence says. And so she went after Mohammed bin Salman as Trump is announcing this $1 trillion deal, the selling of the sale of the F-35 fighter jets. And she's like basically accusing him of murdering Jamal Khashoggi. And then she pounces all over the Epstein files. And that's why Trump said, I had enough. And so he gave it to her with both barrels. Frankly, I don't blame him. And then what he also said was that ABC News should have their license revoked. And I agree with him 1,000%. It's not just fake news, it's propaganda. It's anti-American, anti-Trump propaganda. And honestly, they're disgracing themselves again. But now the media has a problem because they wanted the files released. 617-266-6868. Jeff in the great state of Georgia. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Jeff. Thanks for taking the call.
My pleasure.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is my representative in Congress. I live in Northwest Georgia on Lookout Mountain. I've voted for her 3 times since she's been in Congress starting in 2021. That's the same number of times I've voted for Donald Trump. And the last time she was elected, she was unopposed by a Republican. And in the general election, she won with nearly a 2/3 margin over the Democrat. So I would just say, since you say the Trump's people listen to your show, that means they're listening to me right now. Do not primary Marjorie Taylor Greene, Mr. Trump, my president, because you're going to have a resounding defeat. Marjorie Taylor Greene is very popular here in Northwest Georgia, and that's because of what she stands for. She's the one who has been pushing for the release of the Epstein files, for one thing, which Donald Trump promised to do during the campaign. Then he reversed himself, and now he's reversed himself again. She's also pushed for pleading with President Trump not to get so involved with foreign affairs that you're neglecting domestic affairs. And these are the 2 issues that she's been pushing so hard and the things that makes her so popular here in Northwest Georgia. Now, with regard to The View, do you know Donald Trump has appeared on The View 18 times? This is according to Whoopi Goldberg. 18 times on The View. The last time I saw was during the campaign in 2015. And in an infamous appearance in 2006, 1 year after he married Melania, he told the View's audience, because he was with Ivanka on the show, that if Ivanka wasn't his daughter, perhaps he'd be dating her. Now, I don't know when he had his great Christian revival and rebirth, but that's not the sort of thing that a gentleman should be saying. And I think he likes this image of being a womanizer, and that's just part of him. I don't know whether he's committed adultery with his wife, but that's another issue. I don't know why he chose to call her a traitor. Such an inflammatory thing.
Well, Jeff, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but you kind of anticipated my question. So I understand why she's popular in the 14th Congressional District in Georgia. I hear you. And I understand why you voted for her 3 times, and obviously why you voted for Trump 3 times. I voted for Trump 3 times as well. What I want to ask you is this, Jeff. The fact that he called her a traitor, and now she's called him a traitor, I'm just curious, as a supporter of both, how does that, A, make you feel, and B, the voters in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, how are they reacting to all of this? This infighting now, this blood feud between Trump and MTG?
Obviously, Jeff, no one's happy with the infighting. You know, that's one of Ronald Reagan's primary things. Don't infight.
Yeah, the 11th commandment. Remember that? The 11th commandment. Don't speak ill of another Republican.
These are the words of Marjorie Taylor Greene. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me. She didn't say Donald Trump was a traitor. She's just defining what a traitor is. Now, he's the one who called her a traitor, and I don't think that was appropriate. And to put that as part of your poll question yesterday, putting her in the class with Benedict Arnold and Schumer, I think it was the other one of the 3, I think that was a dopey poll question, Jeff, with all due respect.
Well, Schumer won that poll. If it, if it means anything to you, Jeff. And then Benedict Arnold came in second and Marjorie Taylor Greene very distant third. So, the audience, they haven't turned on MTG. You know what I'm saying? I think maybe they're a little mad at her now for the fighting with Trump, but I don't think they've turned on her. Jeff, before I let you go, you think Marjorie Taylor Greene, is she going to continue to be the face of MAGA? Or do you think Trump has successfully marginalized her?
think he's marginalized her at all. He's been a loyal supporter of Donald Trump ever since the beginning. And she just wanted to refocus. And I think the reason why the files apparently are going to come out now was, to some degree, her continuing to push on this whole issue and not let it go. I mean, you've pushed for it for months. And then it seems to have fallen off the radar, but it didn't fall off the radar for Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's a very good point. No, Jeff, I got to say, that is a very, very good point. Jeff, thank you very much for that call. All right, let me squeeze one more in. Linda in Medford. Linda, I hate to do this to you. I've got 1 minute. The floor is all yours. Go.
Okay, all of these people that are so rich and so powerful that he was blackmailing him, why didn't they just assassinate him? Something about that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. He was depositing supposedly $2 billion in a bank, or had deposited in Russia.
Oh, I didn't know about Russia. I haven't heard about that, Linda. But no, this is why it's almost an open secret in Washington. He was blackmailing a lot of people because the CIA wanted him to blackmail a lot of people.